In what was originally believed to be a two-team race for Shohei Ohtani's services this offseason between the Dodgers and the Blue Jays, it appears to have expanded. Some more teams have entered the fold, so I'll break that down and much more in this episode of Jays Digest. What's up, Jays fans? I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, alongside host Nick Gosse. Now, it's no secret that Shohei Ohtani is the biggest fish on this year's free agent market. It might be the biggest fish that we've ever seen on a North American pro sports market. I mean, the guy is just phenomenal. He's a phenom on and off the field. He can do so many things. And just marketability-wise, we're looking at a guy who can alter the course of a single franchise just by himself, with advertisement revenue, with just the amount of eyeballs that are on this guy year in, year out in the major league season. It's unprecedented. So the Blue Jays are definitely in the mix, as it's a great investment and someone that could put the team over the top. And obviously the Dodgers been very well documented that that's probably the preferred landing spot for Shohei Ohtani, but some more teams have entered the fold, and we'll break that down as this episode rolls along. But Nick, we thought it was a two-team race. Turns out that the teams that we thought were out are back in, and it's going to get a lot more interesting and a lot harder for the Blue Jays to obtain the services of Ohtani.
Yeah, the reports. We'll kind of do a roundtable of all the reports, but a lot of more teams entered the sweepstakes. I wouldn't be surprised by tomorrow if there's reports saying that half of these teams have now dropped out the way this is going. But before we get into it, a quick reminder to hit the subscribe button. We're on the road to 12,500, so make sure to hit that button. 70% of you guys aren't subscribed. Now, Peter, it's going to be a bit of a fun one. A lot of reports are going down regarding Shohei Ohtani and the Blue Jays. They're going to focus on the Blue Jays, but ultimately, there's just been so much. We're just going to get into it. There's lots of screenshots. We'll discuss our thoughts on the Jays. And Peter, a decision is seen to be hoping to be made within the next 72 hours. And this is from Michael Moreno. He said, I'd be very surprised if the Braves landed Ohtani. He was originally reported by, I believe, John Morrissey. But there's now 5 teams who he's been closely watching, which is the Angels, the Blue Jays, the Cubs, the Giants, and the Dodgers. So those are seeming to be the 5 teams in the shuffles. And Ohtani is actively meeting, we believe, with these teams, with the Blue Jays and players like that. But Peter, it's a time now where it's the home stretch. Ross Atkins is making his best push. Ben Nicholson-Smith has been going out there, and he's been seeming decently optimistic about the Blue Jays potentially landing the star. I'll quickly throw this tidbit in here before we get your opinions. This is what he had to say on Shohei Ohtani. He said, quote, they would love to. They are pushing for it. You don't engage with Shohei to the extent that they have unless you have visions of making that kind of announcement. So some good stuff, some bad stuff. At the end of the day, I think their odds are still pretty similar, a bit harder because there's other teams involved, but I still think it's hopefully going to be focused between the Dodgers and the Blue Jays. But who knows? Maybe Shohei has his mind made up and his agent's just using these teams for leverage to make more money. That's a very real possibility, but tons of reports are surfacing, and we'll keep you updated with them.
It is. It is a possibility, but again, I don't think this decision is going to be monetarily driven. I think he makes enough money off the field to truly pick and choose the best possible situation for him, and I still think he's evaluating. He probably had the Dodgers as the favorite in his mind going into the offseason, and he said, this is where I want to be. I'm familiar with the state of California. I want to go to a winning team. The Dodgers check all those boxes.
Yeah.
So they're ultimately the favorite when we look at all those factors and motives for him to go somewhere. The Dodgers are at the top, and then it's everybody else. And I think the Blue Jays did a good job of separating themselves, as selling themselves as the team that is one superstar piece away, the team that has the best pitching staff that you've ever been a part of, that you won't even have to be a part of for next season. So there's a lot of big time selling points. Adding a third country to your marketability, I think that's a huge aspect as well for Shohei Ohtani. And I'm looking at those other teams, the Cubs, Dodgers, Giants. I mean, those are, the Cubs, Angels, and Giants. I'm not worried about those teams prying Shohei Ohtani. I mean, they didn't make the playoffs. They're not playoff teams. Why would the Giants be in the mix? Why would he choose to go to the Giants and not just go to the Dodgers? You know, that doesn't make sense to me. I think the Giants are out. They've shown the willingness to spend the money, but that's a really tough ballpark to hit in, first of all. So if he ever wants to hit free agency again, his numbers might suffer and his pockets might suffer as well. So I'm ruling the Giants out. I'm ruling the Cubs out because they won 84 games. why the hell would you want to go there if you want to stay on the West Coast? You might as well just go to Toronto, who's a better team and similar weather,
Better
similar
facilities.
fan bases. Yeah, exactly. There you go. So I'm ruling the Cubs out. I'm ruling the Angels out. I think that one's self-explanatory. And the other team are the Braves that weren't mentioned in that tweet over there. They appear to be back in the mix as well. And I look at the Braves, they're not a big market team. They're not a team that has as much money as the Dodgers and the Blue Jays do. So their main selling point is that we're the best team in the league. We we have the best players. We had the best regular season. We got unlucky in the playoffs. We ran into a Philadelphia team that wasn't going to be stopped, and they were hotter than ever. And that's just what happens. But we are the best team in baseball. We have the best players, and you'd have the most fun here. That's the best selling point that Atlanta could offer to him. But money wise, don't think they have what it takes.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. And there's some, like the FineSend report here. You can look at the different stuff, or from this report here, sorry, regarding Ohtani. Last one's about Soto. This is from Jim Duquette. He says, I do not believe that Mark Shapiro is going to be the highest bidder on Shohei Ohtani. Like the amount of different reports and rumors that are spreading from Dan Clark here. He says decision is expected within 72 hours. So hopefully we'll get one within the next 3 days, Peter. I think this guy's apparently fairly reputable. I don't know who he is, but fairly reputable. So I'm hoping that over the next 72 hours they do get a resolution. But you made a good point. Like a lot of these teams that are named in this tweet by Moreno, he mentions the Braves, saying they'd be surprised probably because of the monetary value. But I think it's still between the Jays and the Dodgers. And we also have to keep in mind that whether he has a decision made up or not, the actual opt-outs within the contract is going to be a huge thing. We've seen trades, we've seen contract extensions stopped because of these different opt-outs, whether that'll be 2 years, 5 years. I suspect we've talked about it before and on a live stream as well. There'll be an opt-out after year 2, most likely, so we can re-hit free agency after pitching. And then there'll probably be more opt-outs in the middle, and that could be, it might come down to that if you're Shohei Ohtani, just flexibility going forward. So there's so many different variables here. A decision is expected within 72 hours. According to Ken Rosenthal here, the Jays are pursuing Ohtani and Juan Soto. We mentioned this in our video earlier today. Check out this article if you haven't. Ross Atkins, the pressure's on them. I do not think that they are going to go out without swinging as hard as they can for Shohei Ohtani. If he ultimately chooses the Dodgers, which is seemingly pretty likely for all the reasons you mentioned, so be it. I'll be upset. We'll all be upset. But, I mean, if they make their biggest offer in franchise history, which they're going to do for Shohei Ohtani and probably already have, and he leaves and he doesn't come here, then you did your best. But I don't know. It's I still think it's a two-team race, like you said, but the other teams are in there.
I think so too. And when it comes to the reports that are coming out, it doesn't matter how reputable you are. At the end of the day, none of us know nothing because he's remained quiet on the matter. His camp hasn't divulged any information. So we don't know. Well, I mean, your guess is as good as ours right now, and we're just going off of what we're reading. The Jays are in the mix. They've been in the mix all along, and that's what we've come to understand here in the past few days. And I think there is a good chance that they get him. Yes, I still put the Dodgers at the top, but
I think Jay's number 2
I,
for me.
I don't give them that much of a significant advantage over the Toronto Blue Jays because we've mentioned this in a couple of live streams and in a couple of videos. Ohtani's never had a pitching staff that was great around him. As good as the Dodgers have been in the past few seasons, regular season wise, and obviously their title in the bubble in 2020, they don't have a great pitching staff anymore. Walker Buehler, a lot of uncertainty there. Clayton Kershaw's getting older. They'll have a couple of rookies in their rotation. Julio Urias with his suspension as well. Who's going to pitch for this team? We don't know. They usually find a way. They have a very good farm system, and they find ways to fill those gaps. But, man, I mean, the Blue Jays have some known, proven commodities in their starting five there with Chris Bassett, Kevin Gausman, who finished third in Cy Young voting. I mean, this is a real attractive offer that the Blue Jays can give to him and give him the time to get healthy and then get paid in a couple years' time. So I wouldn't rule the Blue Jays out. I actually think they're neck and neck with the Dodgers, apart from maybe some of the geographical differences, but they're right there. And this is great. It's great to see them be in the mix this late.
And hopefully we'll know soon. Hopefully he's right. Like you said, no one really knows. Ohtani and his back in 2017 when he first signed with the Angels, the reason he signed there, one of the key reasons was he wanted to play with Mike Trout, which makes sense, but not a lot of teams were. The Jays are right there with the Angels way back then, and they're right back with him now. So hopefully they can go ahead and do that. But Peter, it's a wild time. Reports are just flowing like crazy, as you can see all these reports. And I'm just hoping that at the very least, the Jays put up a very, very good offer. And I'd be a little bit heartbroken when we discussed it earlier if we don't get one of Soto or Ohtani. But that'll wrap up the video. If you want to check out our video from earlier today, click on your screen right now. And thank you guys again for allowing us to hit 10,000 subscribers. And we'll see you in tomorrow's video.